Hello and welcome to Blue Peter. Here's one I made earlier. This is your brain. I want to talk about the brain today because when you have a working knowledge of your brain, it takes guilt out of the equation because you recognise there's a biological basis for certain emotional issues. Your brain is, if you like, your CEO. It's the command centre of your body. The brain controls everything you think, feel and do. Let's begin with the oldest part of our brains, which is the brainstem here, or the reptilian brain. This part of the brain controls the things that our bodies do automatically, like breathing and digestion. It also controls those automatic and immediate reactions that are often called fight or flight. It's the primitive survival brain, and it really doesn't have very many programs to choose from, and it's focused on avoiding harm. The next part of our brain, the mammalian brain, the limbic system, is deep in here, made of a few structures, and it's focused on approaching rewards. The limbic system is mainly concerned with the emotions and feelings. Some people call it the emotion brain, and it's responsible for what our bodies do when we have strong feelings. Finally, the newest part of our brain is called the neocortex, and it's the largest part of our brains, and it's the clever thinking part of our brain that makes sense of the world for us. It sorts information, it decides what things mean, it uses language, it does sums, understands science. And when our brain is functioning well, in a healthy brain, there's full, even, symmetrical activity across the brain, with most intensity in the back of the brain, in this area here called the cerebellum. In a troubled brain, there will be areas of the brain that are working too hard and areas that are not working hard enough. So, for example, the prefrontal cortex here is responsible for planning, decision making, impulse control and following through. And if you have low activity in the prefrontal cortex, then you might find yourself engaging in quite impulsive behaviour. On the other hand, you might find that the prefrontal cortex is working too hard and it needs calming down. And if it is working too hard, you may find yourself engaged in quite compulsive behaviour. So the brain and structures in the brain can be boosted or it can be calmed down. And this is also where your brain chemicals come into play as well. So when brain chemistry is in balance, it's going to affect how different structures within the brain are working. Now, in another post, I want to look at the brain and the stress response, which, as we've seen, is what the reptilian brain is responsible for, those automatic reactions, fight or flight. But today I want to look at this notion that we say we've got to sort out our heads. And when we're saying that, we're actually fixating on the mental activity in the forebrain here, the prefrontal cortex. And we think that we need to sort out what's in our head in order to sort out what's going on in our life. But unfortunately, you cannot use the forebrain exclusively, and this is where all your internal commentary and discussion about your life goes on incessantly. You cannot use that to sort out your internal world, okay? But we are going to look at how you can use the brain to sort out your internal world of thoughts, feelings and your sense of self.